represent the new and the old and everything in between. He got a lot of knowledge to share, a lot. He's done things that people will never do in one life. He's done it probably multiple times. And I appreciate the second opportunity I have to talk to you. Dave, the floor is yours, and thank you again for allowing me to be here.
You're welcome. Enjoy having you.
Thank you, sir. You can tell a little bit of yourself, of who you are, and then we can start from there, and hopefully everything goes smooth.
Good. It's Dave Van de Velde. It's a good Dutch name. Born in Holland on a small island south of Rotterdam. And but I was born at the beginning of World War II. So I still do have memories of that when I was a young kid of 5 years old. Anyway, I went to school in Europe, in Holland, and went to the Maritime Academy and got my mate's licenses and sailed for a well-known cruise line called Holland America Line. I found out that after sailing ships that was not really the future for having a family. So
Yeah.
I decided to come ashore and for Holland America Line got involved in the building of one of the first container ships in Europe called the Atlantic Star. And having done that, the beginning of containerization was an important part of my life because not only that I came ashore and worked for the largest container terminal actually in the world called Rotterdam, ECT, and became operations manager there and started with ship number 1 and crane number 1. Interesting to see all the difficulties and hurdles you have to start with a whole new concept. But anyway, we were successful. I went from there to Oakland, California, San Francisco Bay Area, where I was involved in the establishment of the first public container terminal in the port of Oakland, crane number 1, dock number 1.
Yep.
So involved with the first container terminal in the port of Oakland.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of was lucky at that time because many of the captains that originally had ships in the trade going from Rotterdam to U.S. East Coast, containerization started to spread to other ports. So then the container ships also came to California on the West Coast. Well, I knew all these captains from before. And so when they came with their ships to the San Francisco Bay Area and they met me there again, they said, well, we're going to go to your terminal because we know you, you're doing a good job, you're very honest, you're fair, etc. So I got one container line after another, and it lined up that after a couple of years, we had 6 container terminals running in the Bay Area. And,
Oh, wow.
And yes, and so there was a lot of money involved. And I'm not a money manager. I would have been a banker if that's what I wanted. So since that became big, I decided after 7 years doing the containers to go into the automobile transportation worldwide. And the big car carriers that carry 6, 7, 8, 10,000 cars, chartered going around the world from Japan, Far East to Europe to the West Coast. And that was a very interesting time. Honda was my big account. As a matter of fact, I met Mr. Honda, who made me Ichiban. Ichiban means number 1.
Yeah.
Because we were his best operators through the whole world for the Honda automobile. So that was quite an honor. They made one day a whole bunch of Japanese came in the front office, and so my secretary said they want you up front in the office. A lot of Japanese gentlemen over there, and yeah, there were indeed a whole bunch of them. And they brought me a car, a Honda Accord, the latest model, the latest version. And so I looked at it. It had 17 speakers in it, and a wonderful car. But they pointed out to the VIN number, and I said, "Yeah, VIN number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever."
Yeah.
Well, the VIN number was my name.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that car was specially built for me. It was a present from Mr. Honda to say thank you for doing a good job.
Oh my
My
God.
wife got stopped by the highway patrol twice for speeding, listening to the music, which was wonderful in her car. And they stopped her, and when they got a driver's license and they looked at the VIN number, they said, "We do not know who you are, but slow down." They didn't get a ticket.
Oh my
So,
God.
so that
That's
helped a
pretty
little
cool.
bit. That helped a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, later on, a friend of mine borrowed it, and he got into an accident, and unfortunately, that was the end of the car.
Yeah.
I don't have it
Oh
anymore.
man. Wow, that was pretty cool. That's a cool story, actually. You were surprised. That's awesome. That's awesome. And how do you got into the vodka business? What make you say, you know what? Let me try this adventure now.
That happened. Uh, I think it was in the end 80s. Holland celebrated 200 years relationship with the United States. You know, on the Mayflower that came from England to the United States, about 1/3 were pilgrims from Holland. And so, as a matter of fact, in Rotterdam, we still have the Pilgrims Church today. Also, many of them came from the city of Leiden in Holland as well. So the celebration was really to emphasize the fact that Holland always has been a friend of the United States.
Yeah.
And so it was a 200-year relationship between the two countries. So the Queen of Holland and the government of Holland invited 1,000 Americans to come and celebrate for a week. That's fact. So when they asked me, because I'm an American citizen, became an American citizen, they said, "Would you like to see your own country as a tourist and not anymore as much as somebody who lived there?" And I said,
Oh, wow.
So they said, "In case you want to bring some of your friends, we still have some openings." And I said, "Well, I got 7 friends. I'm sure they would love to go." So they said, "Well, bring all 7 of them." And so they all got together, and yes, we want to do that. And we traveled to Europe and spent a week
Oh,
in
God.
Holland
Oh, that's awesome.
doing a tourist thing
Yeah.
in the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam. We were walking around there. It was a very big party in that museum for us, for the 1,000 Americans.
Yeah.
And I was, at that time, I owned a small beer import company called Blue Beer. And who was I introduced to? Mr. Freddie Heineken. And so I talked to Mr. Heineken about the beer business. I said, "I'm the peanut and you're the gorilla. And, you know, I
Yeah.
have a lot of respect for you, what you do."
Wow, you met Henneken.
So we had a lot, and that was in front of a famous painting called Night Watch. And so anyway, Mr. Heineken, Freddie Heineken, was a friend of the Queen. So there comes the Queen, who was also attending,
Yeah.
and she sees Freddie Heineken, and so she turns to him and shakes his hand. He then introduced me to the Queen, and obviously, bowed and
Yeah.
said, "Your Majesty." And anyway, when I came in my hotel room later that night, my red light on the phone was blinking because all my friends in Holland were calling me because I was on national TV.
Yeah, because with
Where's the Queen?
the Queen of Holland.
And with Freddie Heineken. Yeah. They all thought I was a big shot.
You are in a way. You are. You met Henneken. You met Hyundai, the Queen of Holland.
Yeah.
Multiple people around the world that are leading everything at the moment. Like Elon Musk, for example, he just told me that you should talk on the phone about something like normal, like
Yeah.
the body. That's
Yeah.
about pacemaker stuff and batteries, which is insane.
So anyway, that was a lot of fun. So anyway, how did I get into the vodka business from there on? While we were there, I wanted to see my friends see how the Dutch live in their home. We in the United States, the old way of doing it, the family lives in the family room, which is usually a part of the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
We don't live in our formal living room
Yeah.
as much, or dining room, and that's for Thanksgiving dinner, right?
Yeah.
So in Holland, we live through the whole house. We don't do that. So
Yeah.
there's only one living room, and we really live in the living room. We had dinner at my sister's house. She's still living in The Hague. That's where it was. And my brother-in-law was serving us Ketel One Geneva gin, which is a Dutch gin made from juniper berries, the flavor. And but it was ice cold. So when you freeze any liquor, deep freeze it, it just rolls in, and you don't feel any burning or whatever.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
after a couple of these little shots of that cold Ketel One gin, one of my friends was vice president for Macy's in the clothing store.
Yeah.
And so he said to me, man, if you can get this as a vodka in the United States, that would be really, really something. His name was Ron Beal. And I said, well, I'll try it, because I'm a little bit of an entrepreneur.
A little bit, like a lot.
Give me a problem and I'll try to work it out.
Yeah.
And so I went to the distillery, the Ketel One distillery, 2 days later, and met with them. And I speak Dutch, so we could speak our own language rather than English, which was maybe a little bit difficult for them. And usually people are a little bit shy to speak another language, afraid making mistakes or say it wrong, whatever. So we spoke to them, and they were interested. And since I was educated in Holland, we were kind of socially at the same level,
Okay.
family-wise. So it just was a comfortable relationship. And so they came to the United States to see me in my environment, and they also wanted to see if maybe some of my friends would talk about me, like, he's honest, he's good, he's fair.
Yeah. I'm a reference.
Yeah, I can see that. So I had a little ranch in Sonoma County, which is a wine country in California. And every year I had a lot of apple trees there. And every year on early August, we would have all our friends and their friends come over and pick all the apples. Because the co-op didn't pay much for apples, so it wasn't financially...
Yeah, stable. Yeah. Good. Yeah.
Might have well let the apples fall off the tree.
Yeah.
So they would come, and so the management of the distillery came that day as well. And so when they arrived in their blue suits and white shirts and tie and whatever, well, when you come to a ranch, we don't wear ties at the ranch. So they showed up, and I told them, I said, there are 375 friends over here. Talk to any one of them. So they were hanging in the trees and making apple fritters and apple juice and band playing and whatever. Big deal. Anyway, so they talked to a lot of my friends, and they all said, great guy to work with, etc. So that's when we agreed to start the import of Ketel One Vodka. And I did that for 13 years as the president of the Ketel One Vodka in the United States. After 13 years, and then decided to start another vodka called Van Gogh vodka, because I wanted to go more in flavors, and Ketel One was basically, as it still is today, mainly a regular vodka. But being the founder in the United States for Ketel One and the co-founder of the brand itself, because the Ketel One distillery wasn't making an American-approved vodka. They didn't have that, so we had to start from scratch. Was interesting because the marketing, what you do with a brand to make it in the United States, is you have to be out of the box.
Yes.
You cannot become a hamburger stand and make the same hamburgers as McDonald's, because they will be better and bigger and faster than you are, and so you forget it. So you have to be totally out of the box. And so we came up with marketing ideas and an approach to the business that was totally out of the box. And that was a big success story, because nobody understood how a new brand can grow as we did, competing with all the big brands.
Yeah.
And you go to a store, and you bottle on the shelf. Well, that means you have to take another bottle out to put your bottle in. They don't do that all that easy. So you have to be really unique and have a great story to tell for that to happen. Same on a bar. You go into a bar, on the back bar, there, all the bottles are there. Which one are they going to take out to put your bottle in?
You need to sell it.
You have to come up with ideas that they say, okay, we'll do that, because you can't push them to do it.
Yeah.
So it was very unique, and it was a good time in my life. I really enjoyed that.
I bet you did. That's awesome. And as an entrepreneur, because that's basically what you are, a problem solver. You resolve problems.
Right.
What do you recommend to the brand new people or person that are trying to do something new? What do you recommend as one advice, a short one, for the new entrepreneurs that are trying to make it,
Well,
including myself?
whatever you do, you always have to first research the segment where you go into.
Okay.
Is there really a need for me? Can I do something in that segment? If you are a singer, just don't say, I'm going to make all these records because I like to sing. Well, maybe you like to sing, but nobody wants to listen to you. So
That's true.
Is there a need for a type of song that you want to bring out? The same as in the liquor industry. Is there an opening? I found out in the liquor industry in my research that they didn't really have upscale liquors at that time.
Yeah.
Upscale vodka, upscale whiskeys.
Yeah.
And if you would talk to a bartender, they would say, oh, yeah, I got whiskeys. They're all over here. Which one do you want? And you would say, what do you recommend? Oh, I don't know. They're whiskey. He had no idea what was in the bottle.
Yeah.
And nobody was selling the contents in the bottle, which is what we drink. I turned that around and I said, I want to have nice bottles, but I want to talk about how we made the product.
Yeah.
So with Ketel One, for example, in the 80s, we had VHS
Yeah.
cassettes, if you remember.
Yeah, I remember. I was born in 85.
Now we have a thumb drive. We made 80,000 of these cassettes, VHS.
Wow.
And mailed those out to all the top restaurants, top bars, top stores in the United States. So my prediction was at that time, if 80% of the people that we send it to throw them away, like, garbage, I don't want to look at that, I have no time. 20% most likely is going to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
That 20% that looks at my video that showed how we started in 1652 and, father to son and the whole story, 3 times distilled, family recipe, etc. I can make out of that 20% ambassadors that are going to sell my brand because they got something to talk about.
Yeah.
Plus, my brand was more expensive. The average vodka bottle in those days was $12 a bottle. And I came in and said, mine is 20. And everybody was laughing at me. Oh, nobody wants to buy $20 a bottle. I said, they will. And they did. And so the 20% that looked at the video tapes were the people that word of mouth started to, because the bartender was making more money out of a $20 bottle than out of a $12 bottle. Yeah. So he got a bigger tip.
Yeah.
Bartenders like that. He had a story to tell. If somebody said, which one should I have? What martini would you suggest? He could say, oh, I have a story to tell about this one. Let me tell it. And he wanted to show that he was a good bartender and he knew the story.
Yeah.
So the consumer said, oh, that is wonderful. I'll try it. So you better have a good product.
Yeah.
Right? Otherwise,
it's
not good.
Yeah. You need to back it up.
So our marketing was totally different from anybody else.
Wow.
And
that's crazy.
That became one of the pillars of success for the company to grow and
just be outside the box. Be different.
Yeah, outside the box.
Be different.
Yeah.
And I also know, thanks to a common friend, Haley, that you are supporting the campaign for anti-bullying.
Right.
And you started in Florida.
Right.
How do you go involved in that? And what makes you say, you know what, I want to put my effort, my time into that?
Well, being retired means you have time.
Yes, that's true.
I don't have a boss
that's true.
that says, where are you at 8 o'clock in the morning? We have been doing charity work with the Leesburg High School here in Florida, Central Florida. And we did some stuff with him, with the principal. And so one day he said to me, my biggest problem is bullying in school. Bullying and fights about drugs or fights with drug families among themselves and whatever. So he said, I don't know what to do about it. And I said, well, let me look into that, see what we can do. So then we started an anti-bullying campaign, which was very interesting. I learned that young people, high school students, they have backpacks, and on the backpack they put buttons, and these buttons are "Save the Whales" or whatever they are.
Or the music band, or whatever they like.
So their life and what they stand for is all on buttons on their backpack, or it's on stickers on their computer, on the laptop.
Yes, I do have some stickers.
Right. So I said, if we start a campaign with buttons, anti-bullying, I took the pledge not to bully, and you get this button on your backpack, big white button, then you will see these buttons the morning when the kids come to school. You will see white buttons here and there, and that means I'm an anti-bullying student. And that started out great. The clubs, they have a lot of clubs in the school, and so we worked with several of these clubs to say, pledge that you are not going to bully, sign a big banner that we're going to hang in the school that says, I, Mary Jones, will not bully, stickers on your laptop, and so on. Well, pretty soon I started to see that we could get a lot more kids to do this if they get something.
Yes.
Because like we people, we always have our hand out. What's in it for me? Why should I do it? What's in it for me? So having been in the aerospace business for a little while, I got some space on rockets that go to the moon. And so we made a lot of pictures, or the kids got pictures of themselves, of their family, parents, grandparents, and so on. The dog, the donkey, whatever they wanted.
Yeah, whatever they want to feel. Yeah.
And that went on a micro SD chip, computer chip, in a little capsule, an aluminum kind of little capsule, went on the rockets to the moon. So then, but that was an interesting, by the way, project, because the grandparents, they're going to die one day. And for the kids and the grandkids, they were still with grandpa and grandma on the moon. And every time they see the moon, they say, hey, grandpa, I see you. You're right there. I see you. And a story comes up. Remember when we went fishing or whatever? So the grandparents and the parents got really interested in our program. And even still today, it has become very big. We had a meeting with the principal 2 weeks ago of the Leesburg High School. And he gave us the numbers that shows how good our program has worked for 4 years in a row.
Wow.
He said that not only we changed the culture in the Leesburg High School for the better, kids feel safer now, but you could see it on the graduation rate. The graduation rate used to be 65, 67%, meaning from going to this high school day number one and graduating from that high school. So 67% of the kids would graduate, and then the other 33% just disappeared.
Yeah.
Now it has become, instead of 67%, 85% of the kids are graduating. Wow. That means the kids are safer, are coming to school because they don't have the worries anymore of being bullied.
Yeah.
Bullying is not a problem in the school anymore. We changed the culture in the school, and it has continued as of today. And that were the numbers I got last week from the principal after we started in 2018, 2019 school year, and today we're in the 2023 school year. So for all these years, it has stayed there with the kids.
It's working. That's an awesome accomplishment you got. You literally saving generations of people. Just keep moving forward and give you the opportunity to be whatever they want to be with the right tools, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're saving a lot of lives, even though you don't see it, but you're saving lives in that aspect. Those kids, if they don't have, if you don't got the right guidance, they can get into drugs, problems, and is given a purpose to do. I also know that in that rocket, or this is not a rocket, it's a flag of the high school or a banner.
Oh, yeah.
They've traveled around the world.
You know, it started out, I was talking to the city manager, and I said, what do you have in Leesburg to say, look what we have? Why are you well known for? What is unique in Leesburg? And he kind of looked at me, and yeah, we're a Central Florida city. And well, he said, we have one famous clock in downtown Leesburg. And I said, yeah, I know the clock. So I said, you know what? I have to do something to give a name to Leesburg that people say, and that's the only city, and then have a story. So we took the Leesburg High School flag and some other flags as well, and we hired our own Sherpa in Nepal.
Yeah.
And our own Sherpa climbed Mount Everest with the flags to the top of Mount Everest. So the Leesburg High School flag flew on top of Mount Everest, which is the highest spot in the world, 29,000 feet high.
It is insane, that.
So that started then a chain effect, because from there we had somebody going to Antarctica on a discovery trip. And so the flag also flew in the South Pole in Antarctica. So that was the Leesburg High School flag again. Then we had people that we knew who traveled the world, South America, Central America, Europe, Australia, wherever. And they all took the flag around the world in different countries, different cities. So that flag was there. And then we launched a rocket to put the flag on the moon. But the rocket was a January 8th launch, and the spacecraft itself was called Peregrine, was launched, but during the launch, the fuel tank for the spacecraft itself was damaged and lost all that fuel out of there, which was the fuel that was going to be used for a soft landing on the moon to stop the rocket or the spacecraft from a hard impact. So it was used as braking the speed for a soft landing. So it became clear that that rocket was not going to land on the moon unless it in pieces by hard landing. So it made a loop around the moon, came back to Earth, burned up partially, and then the remnants fell in the Pacific Ocean, not far off the coast of New Zealand.
Oh, yeah.
So now the flag of the Leesburg High School was on that ship. So now the flag is on the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. So that flag has been in a lot of different places.
Yeah.
And our next rocket is going to go up. SpaceX Falcon Heavy is going to go up in November.
Wow.
To the South Pole of the moon. So we're going to get the flag on the moon too.
Yeah, you will.
So now Leesburg can say, well, let me tell you, our high school flag, our high school has been everywhere on this world, of important places, and as well as in space, as well as on the moon.
Yeah, exactly. That's
now we have a story to tell. It's all about storytelling.
It's all about story. I noticed that everything you do, everything that we need to do to make it last, get a legacy, you have to have a story about it.
Right.
It's not a way to do it. And I know today time is kind of limited, but I want to say, if you don't mind to give an advice to those people that going through a difficult time in life, regardless where they are, what do you be a quick advice to tell them?
Well, do what your heart tells you to do.
Okay.
Because doing something that your heart says, I don't like it, is not going to last. Number two, stick to what you do. Believe in yourself. You can do it. If you want it, you can do it. Don't give up. Just don't go and say, oh, somebody said something bad about it. You know yourself. You know that there is a space for you. So stick to it. For young people, education is very important, extremely important. Don't think you're so smart by yourself. There's a lot to learn. And study if you can. If you cannot, then later on follow some courses, etc. because education is indeed important for the development
Is the key,
of
exactly.
your brain for the future. And work hard. I worked 12 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yes, for
Didn't have
years,
vacations for years.
generation, literally.
Yeah.
It's
People
still
say,
working.
people say, oh, he was lucky. You make lucky. Lucky doesn't come to you and say, ring the doorbell and say, I'm going to bring you some luck. It's not going to happen. You work on it, and you bring luck to yourself. And there, you will find out there's a lot of jealousy in life, because if you do what we just talked about, and you become successful, people are jealous of you. Oh, he was just lucky. He shouldn't have that job. Somebody helped him. It's all you that did it. And every step that you do is with your heart, and the success is yours.
That's true. And well, thank you for being on the show today. I'm pretty sure we'll come back for a second or third part, because you have so many stories, so many things to say that only one episode is not enough. And I like to make a short content so people can actually digest and then move on for the next one. I appreciate a lot. You heard from the source. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep your discipline. Never give up. Eventually things will happen, but you have to work. Nothing comes for free.
Yep.
That's true. And yeah, so I would say thank you, sir, for giving me your time. I know time is money. I know time is precious, but I appreciate it that you give me a chance to come back and make it better. And I hope I come back again and again. I don't mind at all. This is really, I learn from you, even though we a long distance, because I'm in Orlando, he's in the villages, but I'm learning a lot. Thank
you so much.
You're welcome. Well, people, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, Bomberos On Fire, and I appreciate it. Well, see you later. Bye, guys.